Movsar Evloev might be one of the most delusional people in the UFC right now. So Movsar Evloev was set to fight Aljamain Sterling at UFC 307 in Salt Lake City, but Aljamain announced today that he is going to pull out of the fight, and Movsar wants to stay on the card, right? He's been training, he's not very active as we know. I mean, the guy has fought once in the span of a year. So Movsar decided to call out none other than Diego Lopes, who just came off beating Brian Ortega just last week. And why is this so absolutely ridiculous? Well, guys, if you guys recall the history between these two, Diego Lopes actually joined the UFC by making his debut against Movsar Evloev, and it was a close fight. Everybody was surprised. Diego Lopes almost finishing Movsar Evloev, and he had a great performance, and even though he lost a very close fight, Diego Lopes has now called out Movsar Evloev for a rematch over and over again, because Diego took this fight on like a week's notice, and he did that to Movsar. Like, a lot of people think he could definitely beat him, and if you look at what Diego has done since, let's put into perspective. Since Diego and Movsar last fought, Movsar only fought one other time, and it was a very close fight against Arnold Allen, while Diego Lopes has fought a total of, I believe, 5 times or something like that. But Movsar had the balls to call out Diego Lopes. Now all of a sudden, now that Diego Lopes has to take this fight on short notice, now that Diego is coming off of a fight literally a week ago, now that Diego is up in the ranking, now he decides to take this fight. It's a little weird. Yesterday, Movsar tweeted out and said, at Diego Lopes, hey, if you want to defend your honor, you have 2.5 weeks to try to get this loss off your record, which is just ridiculous. Defend his honor? The guy already took the fight on short notice before, and he has surpassed you. Like, his honor has been defended. Nobody cares about Movsar beating Diego. Then Movsar continues and says, I'm the only reason you are here today. You should be grateful for the rest of your life. I mean, this just obviously is not true. It's not like Movsar called up the UFC demanding Diego, right? Movsar was not in a position for any demands. Like, he would have fought anybody. It's really the UFC that brought him in. And of course, Diego himself, I mean, for the work that he put in prior. However, Diego responded on Twitter saying, you had the chance a few months ago when I called you to fight. Now you sit back and watch as the bus leaves you waiting. Which is absolutely true. Diego wanted to fight Movsar again at the Sphere. This is the fight he wanted. He has called him out over and over and over again, even after his first fight after fighting Movsar. But it did not end here. Movsar actually clapped back and said, hey, Dan Ige beat you a couple months ago too. Why are you lying saying you called me out? Next time I see you, maybe I give you a proper haircut because your barber is very cheap. Yeah, this is just so cringe, this trash talk. I mean, come on. Anyway, Diego claps back with a massive response saying, brother, since my first victory in the UFC, I have called you out to fight. You could make excuses that you are above me in the ranking. Since our fight, I have 5 victories while you only have fought once. You are lower in the rankings, not to mention that you have not finished anyone, with a bunch of buzzes emojis. And honestly, this was so satisfying to see because, look, obviously no problem with Movsar not wanting to fight Diego Lopes, but to call him out now that the timing works perfectly and everything like that, it is just absolutely ridiculous. Personally, I think the only thing that makes sense here is let's just rebook Movsar versus Aljamain Sterling, or if you want to do like Gene Silva versus Movsar Evloev, that's a fight you could do, but I think they're going to most likely rebook the Aljamain Sterling and Movsar Evloev fight, and maybe the winner of that fight does fight Diego Lopes, but I don't think right now 2.5 weeks notice, especially keep in mind when Diego Lopes literally did this before, already on short notice, and I don't think anybody questions, would Diego Lopes be down? Absolutely. I think at this point it's just about the principle, and of course if this fight gets announced, I would like to see the fight because it was such an exciting fight last time around. Diego Lopes was super close to actually finishing Movsar, but for Diego Lopes, I also wouldn't mind seeing him fight someone else. I mean, there's a lot of better options you could pick. Yair Rodriguez and him would be a fun fight, even though Yair Rodriguez is clearly behind him in the rankings and lost to Brian Ortega. I wouldn't even mind Volkanovski, but I think a lot of people would be very worried about that fight, seeing how Volkanovski's chin is held up lately. Or even the winner of Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria. I mean, Diego Lopes has done so much for the company, has made so many spectacular moments, and I mean, his rise is just like something else. Like, it's up there with Alex Pereira in terms of the speed and the competition. I mean, he's literally the jiu-jitsu coach of Alexa Grasso, which isn't really impressive after that last fight, if we're gonna be honest, but still, what I'm trying to say, he's very good at jiu-jitsu. I think it's a good matchup. Leave a like on this video if you think Movsar is being an absolute coward calling out Diego Lopes, and check out my last video where I talked about Sean O'Malley's podcast, him reacting to the loss and his embarrassing friend. Also, my other video talking about John Jones ducking Tom Aspinall officially, breaking down the MSG card. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best fan base in MMA. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.